some expressions it would be hard to tell somebody what it actually means. And one of those expressions is in my feelings. Well, I'm in my feelings right now. I'm in my feelings about the presidential election, which it'll be 1 week tomorrow that it took place. And I'm seriously in my feelings about it right now. I'm actually concerned about the nation. I shouldn't even say actually. I'm concerned about the nation. I'm concerned about the safety of the nation. The bigger safety and the other safety. I mean, look, 2 more months. We have a president who I've been told by psychoanalysts that I personally know that the man is sick, objectively. And this is outside of their politics, outside of their personal feelings about him, outside of their personal political views. And I respect them and I understand, and they're not alone. Many members of the psychiatric community have said that this man is definitely not well. Of course, I don't really need anybody else's eyes to tell me what I've seen myself. I don't think he's well at all. But he has been president of the United States for almost 4 years, and for 2 more months he will be president of the United States. He is the commander in chief of the largest armed forces that the world has ever known. It really is. And the things he could do in that position, I guess as a human being, I'm just aware of it. Actually, I've been aware of it for the last almost 4 years, and he hasn't done it. However, he is not only the largest military, but the largest economy the world has ever known, the largest communications system the world has ever known, and so many other things. So there's an actual fear I have. I'm not going to be ruled by fear right now because I know it doesn't really produce anything, but a lot of anxiety, and I really can't do anything about it. But I am concerned. I'm concerned about the people he has influenced. Look, America has always been a divided nation, and it's always been pretty much half this way and half that way. It goes back to the founding of this country, and it definitely has expressed itself in our many wars and in our elections, in our politics, in our social policies, in our educational system. The country is split. And what tips elections over the years has been a smaller number of people who go, I don't want to say either way, but these are the people that usually make the difference in an election. But there's never really been any strong mandate for the country to take a position either way about anything. We have a divided nation. America is a divided nation, and I think these last almost 4 years have really shown. Well, it's been shown before, but I think this has been several years of a real demonstration of how divided. And I don't know. I'm not saying it even has illustrated it completely to everybody, but it definitely has illustrated it to people who have been looking and have been listening. Feelings that people have never admitted, feelings that people didn't want to admit, feelings that people have been hiding, covering up, suffering under, living under, growing under, building under, dreaming under, have been exposed during these last several years. And we've had all kinds of explosions all over this country. And we still haven't gotten to the I feel I know. A lot of people feel they know. Um, we haven't gotten to it as a nation. And I'm concerned about these emotions, these feelings, these attitudes that will be further expressed during these next 2 months. So that's a concern. I am concerned about the type of influence this man and his associates have had on the nation. I'm a New Yorker, and when Donald Trump was a New Yorker, I lived there. And when Rudolph Giuliani was mayor, I lived there. I know the type of effect these two men can have on the attitude and the actions of people. I've seen them. I've seen them in action. I've seen the results of their attitudes. A lot of people have attitudes, but being in the positions that they have been in and are in, those attitudes have some serious consequences. Serious consequences. Some of the consequences they've had in New York, trust me, Louis, the books have yet to be written about how far reaching the attitudes of those two men have had on our city and state. And now, in Washington, D.C., the effects that they're having on the whole country. Boy, they definitely unleash some attitudes of, as they used to call them, the silent majority. That people, we knew it. We knew these attitudes were out there, and we tried to deal with it the best way we could. We had a really great man that was born, was educated, taught and preached, and tried to tell this country to come together. He tried to explain what would happen if we didn't, and he tried to get us to understand what would happen if we did. And what did they do? They shot him. They killed him. Killed that man. Now they got all kinds of streets named after him. They got statues, in Washington, carved out of stone. They quote the man every day. Talk about what he would have said, what Martin Luther King would have done. Give me a break. That man was no, as some horrible woman said, he was no joke. He was no joke. He was so heavy, I didn't even understand him at the time. I'm like, what are you talking about? These people got dogs and hoses on us, and you talking about love somebody? No, I didn't get it. It was many, many years after his death many years that a student, a little fourth grade student of mine, told me. Actually, he wrote about it. He said, the reason why we have a national holiday for a man who wasn't even president was because he taught us that love is stronger than hate. Now, could you imagine that coming from a kid? I'm always learning from my students, and that was the day I started to really try to understand this man named Dr. Martin Luther King. That's when I really started reading his writings, not the little capsules that people publicize, but what he actually said. He was a brilliant man. He was a brilliant man. He wasn't talking pie in the sky. He was serious. And all these years later, we find it easier to name things after him, sing songs, have holidays, make statues, name streets, and talk about him. But we're not living what he talked about. Which leads me to the second lesson I learned in my life. And that lesson was from my greatest teacher, my beautiful mother. The first lesson, of course, was love. She was love. The second lesson was forgiveness. Now, it was fairly easy to do that when I was a kid. I mean, I just did it because she told us to. And I kind of forgave people, all kinds of people. I don't care what they did. I forgave them. But as I grew older, it became uh, not only harder, but um, it became more complex. I learned how to analyze why they did it, why it hurt me, who it hurt, and all things like that. So it became a little more complicated. And in some cases, trust me, I have not gotten there. I have not gotten there. So I'm not even going to pretend to say I forgive this man for what I feel he has done and been and said and caused in this country. But for some reason, I do have feelings for him. Well, first of all, I'm just going to flat out recognize that he has done a few things that have been good things. A few. And, okay, that's it. I have other feelings for him that, Lord have mercy. How could you really have any? I mean, but I do. What can I say? I actually feel for him as a father, as a son. His father's dead, but he's still living in that man's shadow. I feel for him. We all try to please our parents, and I would imagine a son pleasing his father is probably a pressure that I can't even imagine, but I can imagine. Still trying to do it. I feel for him. I mean, he failed. He really failed. He failed by his own standards. Maybe not in his quote presidency, but he definitely failed in this election. He did not win. Now, by the time I share this recording, um, maybe the courts will have seen this quote evidence or whatever, I don't know. But as of today, he lost the election. And for somebody who the word lose is the worst word on earth, I'm concerned. I already said how I felt with the things he could do of a militaristic or an economic nature, but hey, I get no pleasure out of seeing a wounded human being. I get no pleasure out of that. The jokes that they've done in the last week, the cartoons, I mean, they're funny. But actually, I don't get any pleasure from that. I also don't underestimate the danger that a wounded lion can wreak on people, any wounded animal. And he is wounded. He is wounded. I feel for him even as a father. He let those kids down. I mean, I know they think he's God, which is probably the first mistake. And I don't know if there's anything worse than being treated like a god as a parent. I mean, all of us want to look up to our parents. All of our parents want our kids to look up to us, and we do the best we can to show them that we are really incredible people. But when you take it to the level of being God, it gets dangerous. Because the other side of that, is pretty deep. And right now, this man is the flip side of that. I don't know how they're going to react to it, but it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy on those kids either. I mean, they really don't understand why people even care what they have to say. They really don't understand what it is to have earned the particular positions that they're in. Day by day, piece by piece, credit by credit, job by job, increment by increment, to be in the positions that they're in right now. And for anybody to even quote them or care about anything that they say or do, it's kind of like a birthright. And it's very sad to watch them sometimes express these positions that they're in. The power of these positions is just sad. And that gives me no satisfaction either. How could I get pleasure in seeing people literally, and I hope I don't sound too unkind, literally make fools of themselves every day. It's a sad thing to watch. I wrote a little message on my Facebook page this week about prayer is needed. And I guess I'm talking to myself as well as to other people. I have to really learn how to get serious about some prayer and some faith for the next 2 months because, like I said, I just discovered not only am I a patriot and really do have deep, deep feelings about the country, but I care about the earth. I'm sitting right now under some trees that are the most beautiful colors you can imagine, and I'm watching them leave the branches for winter. And I know there are 4 seasons, and I love seeing those 4 seasons unfold. And right now we're preparing for winter. I really pray that I can be humble enough to hope for the best for this man and his family. I know I hope for the best for my family and for the country, but I actually hope for the best for him. So I'm just sharing how I'm feeling, in my feelings, as we say, a week after the election.